Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This will be a bit of a different video. So this is not an opal. This is just some random stone, no idea what it is. Picked it up at the beach. And what I'll be doing is using the master carving kit, which is currently out of stock, but everything's on its way, to work on this stone. See if we can get it a bit of a polish, because there's no reason why this kit can't cut basically any stone. So we've got the sintered diamond burrs, super coarse, assorted grits. Then we'll shift over to the 4-part Nova points from 280 all the way up to 3000. And then for this one, because it's not a silica based stone, I'm going to be using the aluminium oxide with the felt burrs. And I won't just do the entire face, we'll just go down one half of it. I might just texture in a line there, or just use an imaginary line and just do one half, and we'll see what it ends up looking like. If you have a real close-up look at the stone, it does look a bit porous, so we might still end up with a bit of a porous face, but hopefully we can get this pretty shiny on one side. I'll just attack this side here, and we'll see what we do. Leave this side as rough as it was from the beginning. Compare and contrast on the one stone, it should be quite interesting. If anyone knows what material this is, I'll give you a good look at it. It was just found on the beach when I was walking the dog. If anyone knows what it is, comment below. I'll be amazed if you can get it. I don't understand how people can look at a random rock and determine what it is, but there are people online that can do it very easily. If I posted this on Facebook, someone would say exactly what stone it is. Super crazy. All I know is how to carve, so let's get into it, just to show that this kit can carve pretty much anything. And away we go. We're going straight to the 600 grit sintered diamond, because I'm not doing any major shaping or anything like that. Otherwise I would start off with the 80 grits. Use the big 80 grits and really get in there. If you want to do any kind of decorative carving or anything, you want to start with the 80 grits and then work your way to the 600s. But yeah, in this case, I'm not going to bother. And I'll mention the tool here that I'm using is a Rotary tool. So it's a Rotary tool with a flex shaft. The motor actually sits right next to my left ear. So I like to wear hearing protection. I also like to suggest that people wear eye protection, so safety glasses, and also a mask. It depends on what you're cutting, but there are always hazards when you're grinding something. It's small dust particles, no matter what those dust particles are, you don't want to breathe them. We like our eyes, we like our lungs, we like our ears, protect all three, and you're good to go and good to have fun. Here, one important note is to remove all the sharp edges. Once we're finished with these sintered diamonds, you'll see here it's pretty frosty, but still pretty rough. We're going to move over to the Nova resin burrs, and that is basically diamonds suspended in a resin, and that resin is much softer than what a sintered diamond burr is, which is basically steel. So these can actually be deformed and cut and gouged into if there's any kind of sharp edges. You really want to protect them. They are way more expensive because they don't last anywhere near as long as sintered diamonds. They might last you a lifetime, but these will definitely not, especially the 280, which does the most work. You want to really work with the 280. This is the most important step in carving any stone at all. The transition from the sintered diamond to the resin is super important, and the number one thing that people get wrong when they get started. So really take your time and wait until the stone stops changing when you're doing the 280. You can go like this and go in one direction, wash it off, have a look, and make sure all the scratches are in that direction before you switch over to the next grit. It should start feeling smoothish, but this is a very porous stone, so it's a little bit grippy still, and unfortunately at this stage you should know whether your stone's going to get a really mirror shine or whether it's going to be a porous finish, which is okay. Most of it will be shiny, but you'll have just little pits in it, and they're going to be really small, and it's going to give you a semi-polished, kind of like a satin look. Here you can see it's already starting to reflect a little bit more light. This is just after the 600 grit Novas, and then it's the same thing. We're just hitting the entire surface, slowly going up and up in grits. So 1200 grey now. Some stones, some materials, you can stop at the 1200 and then go to the next final polishing. It's starting to get that little bit of pre-polish, and the 3000, you really rarely need to go higher than this unless you're not going to use any kind of polishing powder, diamond paste, in which case you can get Nova points all the way up to 50,000. You don't really need to do the 3000 on a lot of stones though. After the 1200, it's pretty slippery if you're not dopping your stones, and you'll start getting a bit of a shine, but you'll be able to have enough to transition all the way to this stage here, which is the aluminium oxide and hard felt. For now, I typically mix about 1 teaspoon of the powder to 1 cup of water, and you see here it comes out as a really thin milk. And instead of washing this off on a regular basis and dipping the stone, what you want to do is you want to deposit more and more of that aluminium oxide kind of slurry or solution. And don't wash it off, just let it build up, but also don't let it dry. That's super important. Keep it nice and moist. Depending on the material, your stone can really overheat with this burr. It is causing quite a lot of friction. You'll be surprised at how quickly this can heat up, and stones like I work with opal, really temperature sensitive, you can't let it run out of control. So just keep adding the water with your finger, and yeah, just don't wash off the aluminium oxide because that's what's doing all the work. Your burr will wear out pretty quick, but luckily enough for us, the felt burrs are pretty cheap and they do an incredibly good job. There are other options that I've tried, but really I always come back to the felt burrs. They work perfectly, and yeah, at the end we'll just give this a wash and have a look at the final product. Alright, and there we are, random rock from the beach, polished up. Now it's it's not a mirror finish just because this is such a grainy, loose, sandy kind of material. I actually thought it would be a bit harder than what it is, but it is actually very porous. But it's actually done a pretty good job. The cerium oxide wouldn't have done too much to it, but the aluminium oxide's done a good job, similar to what diamond paste would have done. And I don't know if it helps ID the stone a little bit, but you can see here it's actually very brown and streaky inside the stone. It's not at all what I was expecting. It's kind of like a jasper. But yeah, not my standard material. Here's a couple opals that I've cut on the channel recently. So you can see here you get a much nicer finish when it's a non-porous, non-sandy, non-grainy kind of stone. So this is all with the exact same tools. These ones I finished off with the cerium oxide because they are silica based, but aluminium oxide would have also got a very similar result. You can see, nice mirror finish, no different process at all, just different types of material. And yeah, the tools that I used in this one are a little bit more expensive. So on the shop they're going for 250 bucks, but I do also have the cheaper budget kit, which you can do if you don't have the money, but you want to give it a try and give it a whirl. You'll still get the same results, the tools just don't last as long. That's literally the only difference, and they might be a little bit more tricky to use. These better tools are an absolute dream and they get a beautiful result. But yeah, it's very good to know what you're carving, and I have no idea what this thing is from the beach. I just thought it'd be good to put the tools to the test, and I rarely work any different material. I just work opals typically on the channel, so it's fun to just pick up some random sandy rock. Next time I might just grab a piece of glass and show you how the process works on glass, because glass is much more similar to these opals. Just a silicon oxide material, and yeah, you can see it gets a nice glassy, shiny mirror finish. But if you're interested, stick around. You'll see me work with the same tools on a bunch of different materials. I reckon I'm going to do some other things that aren't opal related as well. I think I might just do a fire agate. I've still got a lot of it, and it might be a nice little palette cleanser because I work a lot of opal and not much else. But if you've got some random rocks lying around, or you pick something up at the beach, then yeah, just give it a go. The process is still the same, just higher and higher grits until you get to a shiny finish. And if you don't get a very sandy stone, you'll get an even better finish than this. So good luck, have fun, and by all means feel free to send me questions either on the website or in the YouTube comments. That's something that I check all the time. It's very easy to reach me. Feel free, and I will get back to carving opal. Catch up.